We are now live. Are we live? Charlemagne, we live? We live. This is Dre all day coming to y'all live from South Florida. It's Saturday night. I will do this outside, but we got more light on the inside, so we're going to do it from right here. As you come into the stream, tell me your name and location as you're checking in. If you watch this on replay, it's all good. I will put it up on some other platforms after this. But if you're watching this live right now, tell me your name, location as you come in. We're going to talk real quick about building your mental toughness. I'm going to give you a couple tips on becoming more mentally tough yourself in life. Because the bottom line of all the stuff that I talk about, I talk discipline, confidence, personal initiative. Austin from Florida, what's up? It all boils down to mental toughness. Lubomir checking in from Maryland. What up, Maryland? Jalil from the ATL. Shout out to the ATL. We talking mental toughness here tonight because everything comes down to mental toughness. If I had to take all the stuff that I talk about and I had to just put it into one phrase or word, it's going to be mental toughness. It's confidence is measured through your mental toughness. How confident can you be even when things aren't working? How disciplined will you be when things aren't working? We got somebody from PA is here. How much initiative will you take when nothing's working? It's hard to take initiative when everything you've taken initiative on before didn't produce a result. So that's why we talking mental toughness. I'm gonna give you some tips on mental toughness. Introduce myself first. My name is Dre Baldwin, former 9-year pro athlete, now author of 25 books, entrepreneur, keynote speaker, coach, consultant, a publisher of over 7,000 videos, 6,000 blog posts, 1,400 podcast episodes. I do a whole lot of other things that we'll get to at a later date. All my materials at dreallday.com or at workonmygame.com. That's for you to work on your game. We got Windsor Cannon in the house. Let's get right into it. We're talking here mental toughness. I'm going to give you some tips on mental toughness. First thing you got to do, if you want to be a more mentally tough individual, you got to make more decisions. Make decisions instead of offering suggestions. Sybil from St. Lucia, what's up? Instead of offering suggestions, instead of offering maybes or wants or possibles, make decisions. See, a suggestion is passive. A maybe is you're putting out your desire. A want, you're putting out your desire, something that you may wish to have, but you're not really making a commitment to it. The thing about a decision is a commitment. The root word of decision is incision, right? It means to cut off any other possibility when you make a decision. Decisions mean I'm going to do this thing, and then you got to take action to make it real once you made a real decision. Now, if you make a suggestion, you could always say, well, I was just saying, I was just throwing it out. I don't know if I really want to do it. Or if you want something, that means this is something that you wish to have in your life, but doesn't mean you're going to do anything to actually get it. It means a lot of things that people want, but they never get it because they never take action to get towards it. A decision says, I'm committing myself to achieving this outcome. And that's part of being mentally tough. Mentally tough people commit. They commit to whatever outcome they want to achieve, whether that's something they want to do for themselves, a position they want to reach, getting rid of something out of their lives, it's doing things differently. That's what mentally tough people do. They make commitments to what they're going to do, and then they follow up that commitment by taking real action that makes that commitment real. You want to be a more mentally tough person, you got to start making decisions again and stop just throwing things out there but not actually tying yourself to them. Mentally tough people tie themselves to things and then they hold themselves accountable to go make that thing real. Or if they're not able to hold themselves accountable, they go find an accountable person who will hold them accountable, such as a workout buddy, an accountability partner, a coach, a trainer, a consultant, somebody that they pay who's going to hold them down and make sure that everything they're supposed to do, they actually do. That's what mentally tough people do. They hold themselves accountable and they commit to something that they can be held accountable for. If you're not committing yourself to anything, there's no way to hold yourself accountable. So what are you committed to that you absolutely are going to do, that you stay committed to yourself and you stick to it? That's the first thing you got to do to be more mentally tough. Second thing I'm going to tell you to do to be more mentally tough in life is understand that it's not a measure of your mental toughness until you get into a tough situation, until situations are rough, until you're facing some adversity. It's not mental toughness when everything's working out the way you want it to go, when everything you try is going fine, when everything in your life is just working really smoothly and everything's pretty perfect. You don't measure your mental toughness then. Doesn't mean you didn't have mental toughness to get there. Doesn't mean you don't have it right now. But in order to measure your mental toughness, you got to get into a tough situation to find out how you respond to that situation. It's easy to be mentally tough for all of us when everything's working and we're having success and we're not really facing any real problems. And when you're facing a real situation and you're not quite sure it's actually going to work out at all, that's when you find out if you're actually mentally tough or, if you're paper thin, if all your whole facade is going to fall apart. So you want to know you're mentally tough, you got to get yourself, well, not get yourself, but just wait until you get into a tough situation. Because I guarantee if you're not in one right now, you will be in one at some time in the future. That's what mental toughness is all about, figuring out how you're going to deal with a situation even when you haven't gotten the outcome that you wish to achieve. There's one other thing I was going to say about mental toughness, but I'm not thinking of it right now. But what we're talking about here today, for everybody who's watching, we're talking mental toughness, and understand that being mentally tough, this is another thing I'm going to tell you, is that it's not only about when things are not working right, it's also when things are working. Because you look at sports, is a reason why many sports teams or individuals, it's hard for them to win a championship and then repeat and win another championship right after that. It's hard to win it 2 times in a row, let alone 3 or 4 or whatever times in a row, simply because humans, we get complacent when we win. When we succeed, we get complacent, we relax, we stop working as hard, we stop putting all the same effort in, we're not as dedicated anymore. Why? Because we reached the top. We know what it feels like to taste that success. We know we did it. So it's hard to push ourselves as hard the second time around as we did the first time, because now we know what it takes. When you get to the top, you realize how hard it was, and how much effort you had to put in, how much time and how much everything you had to give to reach that success. And then to do it again, see, the first time you didn't really know. You didn't really know how hard you was going to have to push yourself to get to the championship. You knew how hard you were pushing yourself, but you didn't know what it was going to result in. The second time around, you know what it results in. So now you're like, damn. Now looking back at that first time, you're like, all right, am I willing to do that again? Am I willing to push myself that hard again? Am I willing to put myself through all that pain, through all that effort, all those blood, sweat, and tears? Am I willing to do that all over again? A lot of people say that they are, but most people aren't able to do it simply because it's really hard for us. You want to be more mentally tough, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard, and you got to be more accountable to yourself. Not to other people, not to Instagram, not to your fans, not to anybody, even whether you know them or not. You got to be more accountable to yourself. You got to be tougher on yourself when it comes to your self-assessment, when it comes to your personal accountability. Meaning, when you tell yourself you're going to do something, you got to make sure that you actually do it and hold yourself accountable to it when you're mentally tough. People who are mentally weak, they let themselves off the hook. They tell themselves they're going to do something. Nobody else knows. Then they don't do it, and they don't feel bad about it because nobody else knew about it but them. So you feel fine letting yourself down. But if you held yourself accountable to another person, you told somebody else you was going to do something, you would probably do it because you don't want to look like a jerk to that other person. So how is it that you can hold yourself accountable to you? I mean, to them, him, he, or she, or it, but you wouldn't hold yourself accountable to yourself. If you want to be mentally tough, you got to hold yourself to the same standard of accountability that your coach or your boss or you would even hold yourself to if you know you made a commitment to another person. So those are the things that you need to understand about being mentally tough. And I'm going to take a couple questions on this subject. We're talking mental toughness for anybody who came in late. This is Dre all day. If you got a question on mental toughness, go ahead and post it. But the points that I gave you here is, first of all, you can't measure your mental toughness till you're in a tough situation. Second, if you want to be more mentally tough, you got to make decisions, not just suggestions, not just wants, not just desires. And if you want to be more mentally tough yourself, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard. You got to hold yourself to a higher standard of personal accountability, not accountability from others, not accountability that you're holding others to, accountability you hold yourself to. You got to make yourself reach your own standards the same way you would make somebody else do it, in the same way if you had a boss or a parent or a coach or a trainer telling you to do something, same way they wouldn't let you off the hook, you can't let you off the hook. That's what we're talking about here for mental toughness. So I'm going to take a couple questions if we have any. So I'm going through the comments right now. So if you got one, post it, keep it short, keep it brief. Sports specific says commitment equals persistent and consistent effort. Yes, and you got to make a decision up front. Maui says tough times don't last, tough people do. That's what they say. C23 Kaz, so I think everyone battles with anxiety. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't answer that question. Arbin, what's going on? Checking in from Toronto. Maui says, I feel bad about letting myself down, I feel worse when I let down others. Yes, exactly. That's what mental toughness is about. Are you willing to hold yourself to that same standard? Like, it's hard for us to let other people down because it affects our reputation in those relationships, but you got to think of yourself the same way. You got to respect yourself the same way you would respect the word that you gave to another person. Molly says, how can I mentally prepare for walking on to a team even though I failed making teams in the past? So first of all, get your game together, whatever team you playing on, whatever sport you playing, get your game together so when you get your chance, you're ready to go. That'll help you mentally knowing that you actually have your skills in place. One of the keys to preparation is actually being good at what you're preparing for. If you know you're good, then you'll feel a lot more confident. But also, you can listen to my masterclass on preparation. Go to Work on Your Game U, as in university, workonyourgameu.com. Sign up for a free 2-week trial to Game Group membership. You listen to all my masterclasses on preparation. Pierre in the lab says, how do you work on your mental game? Man, all you gotta do is follow everything that I put out. That's how you work on your mental game. Everything that I've ever put out. All these live streams, all my posts. I got 25 books. I got 1,400 podcast episodes, 6,000 blog posts, 7,000 videos. Just do everything that you hear me talking about. You'll work on your mental game, guaranteed. I would suggest that you start by, the first thing I would suggest you do is go get my free book, The Mirror of Motivation, which is the link in my IG bio, mirrorofmotivation.com. Get that book. That's your first step to working on your mental game. ARB says, is it bad to avoid tough situations for easy routes? By the way, the game group's awesome. Well, you're in the game group, so go listen to some master classes on avoidance. Go listen to all the master classes on the mental game. You got the answers right there in front of you. Young Richie says, how do you force yourself to go after a seemingly goal? In this blank, I think you missed the word. Molly says, is Rutgers a school in New Jersey I'm going out for? It don't matter what school it is. The same principles apply. ARB says, you're going to make any more books about business? Yes. Young Richie says, unrealistic. So the thing, how do you force yourself to go after a seemingly unrealistic goal? Well, you can change your mind about what's realistic. The reality is negotiable and is all relative. So what I consider to be unrealistic, you might think is perfectly realistic and very possible for you. So you have to decide what's realistic and what's not for you. If you think a goal is unrealistic, then you wouldn't be going after it in the first place because you think it's unrealistic. So the first step is you got to decide whether it's actually possible for you or is not. If you think it's not, then you wouldn't even be going after it. C. Cav says, in your opinion, do you think everyone battles with something? You got to ask me a better question than that. Lil Yo-Yo says, how do you know when you are mentally tough? When you're doing the things that I just described in the last 10 minutes of this live stream. Miley says, by the way, is this going to go on YouTube? Yes. ARB says, I recommend my friend to Work on Your Game book. He loves it. That's what's up. You finish it in a week. Well, tell him to record me a video testimonial. Cash Chris says, am I into philosophy? Yeah, I am philosophy. That's what I talk about. I wrote a book called Dre Philosophy Volume 0. You can get that at workonmygame.com/books. BOOKS, workonmygame.com/books. You can see all 25 of my books. I got a book called Dre Philosophy Volume 0. That book is 800 pages long, and it's all words and ain't no pictures. I actually had to make the font smaller just to fit in the 800 pages, actually. Oh, he said he meant stoicism. Yes, I talked about stoicism on my podcast. You must not be listening. You go to my podcast, you hear me talk about stoicism. Seneca's book on stoicism I've read, and I like it a lot. So I got a lot of handbooks. Jeff Teague's the one that helped the best so far. I think every time you mention a different one, so you must got a lot of them. What's the best book I feel I created? The last one that I wrote. Every book I write is the best one because they all about different things. Somebody say, you play like Allen overall, by the way, on Iverson on YouTube. I don't know what that means. I play like him on YouTube? I don't know what that means. How do you stay motivated 100% of the time? Be disciplined rather than being motivated. Motivation is for kids. Motivation is for amateurs. It's cool to be motivated, but if you're looking for motivation, you're looking for the wrong thing. Look for discipline. Discipline works when motivation is not there. Nobody's motivated every day, but anybody can be disciplined every day. All right, so everybody, have a great night. I will put this on YouTube. It'll probably be a few weeks before this one goes up, but I put something new up there every day. If you want all my best material, what you need to do is go to workonyourgameu.com, become a member of the game group. I'm giving you a 14-week free trial. You get every podcast episode, the full episode, and very soon, probably within the next week, I'm going to start offering individual episodes. You'll be able to purchase them a la carte you'll see. It's coming soon. So everything I've ever put out, that's 1,400 new episodes. You'll be able to get any one of them individually that you want. And you'll hear about that very soon. So stay tuned. Work on your game. Have a great Saturday. Dre all day.